All right. Well, hello, everybody. We're doing some Genshin today. We're gonna do Lynette's Hangout. Thank you guys for coming. And yeah, let's just click right over the game. Sorry, I was a little bit late, but my animes didn't want to update or didn't want to start, so my model was like, "Nope, I'm not gonna move." I was like, "Oh." So let's just hop over to the gameplay. So today I have not done any of Lynette's Hangout, and I wanted to do it today. So we're going to be focusing on doing that a little bit today. Might have to adjust the sound though. Genshin wakes up. It does not like being AFK, I will tell you. Okay, I guess that's okay. If you guys can't hear it on your end for whatever reason, just let me know. But, alright, so lots of stuff going on, as you could see. All these exclamation points, red exclamation points. Let's go through some of these. Test run is going, Royal and Crossfire is going. Um, whatchamacallit? Spiral Abyss is going. So I guess let's do this one first to kind of make sure we get it done, and then we'll go into Lynette's story quest. It might take a second. I don't know why it hates being AFK so much. I mean, like I just got it started, but it's all right. We'll get there. It does start working better once it's like fully awake. So thing is, it will do that even if I don't have Twitch Studio or animes on. So it just gives more time to chit chat anyway. Yeah, the thing is, it's kind of funny. I was thinking about Lynette, and she really is kind of like the four-star face of Fontaine, because you think about it, it's like, okay, she was given to us for free for Spiral Abyss. She was the first character we actually met when we reached Fontaine. She also played a pretty big role in Fontaine itself. And she's the first Fontaine character to get a hangout. So somebody over there really likes Lynette. Alright. So since this is kind of her day, we can have her out. I have to raise her a little bit more. I had plans to raise her, but then we had Nivillette and it was Nivillette, Farina, Navia, Zen, Shinyun. I was just like, or I should say, Cloud Retainer. Her regular name is too close to Shenha. The way you say it, like it's not spelled that way, but it's said very similar to Shenha. It's just the spelling's different. So I'm just like, I say Shenyun, And so I'm talking about Cloud Retainer, but her name sounds so similar to Shen Ha, who is a different character. So just Cloud Retainer. Let's see. Oh, we gotta pull in and hit physical characters. Or do physical damage. Alright, so we'll do this and then we'll probably go do Lynette's Hangout. Just because I don't like getting behind in events, because since they are limited time and you want to make sure you do them. I don't think there's anything wrong with like leaving it to the weekend when you're free and then just doing the whole thing in one go. But I'm here, so I might as well. Test. Okay, there we go. I want to make sure the microphone is working. Here I am talking up a storm, and then I look over, I'm like, that's turning green, right? Ooh. This one they're not holding still. This one they're running away. Eh. It's kind of hard to control because it goes the opposite way in which you're running. Why are you giving all these electro bullets? Alright. I think we got some pretty good points though. You only need to get like 3,000 in order to pass this part. So, longest combo. It's gold. Oh yeah, that was the thing too. It's like they say March comes in like a lion, or comes in like a lion and leaves like a lamb, meaning it's really cold in the beginning of March, so it's like, oh, if the cold has teeth and claws like a lion, but then oh, it's supposed to be oh so nice and warm and soft like a lamb when it leaves. It's the start of April and it's still cold. Like the lion is wearing a lamb skin. That's what we got here. In that part. Next time. Yeah, we get the test run. Originally, I was gonna roll for Kazuha, but Then I did some rolls on Chiori and I got Dea. And so that means I have a guaranteed Arlecchino, and I really want Arlecchino, and I also want her weapons. So if I waste my guaranteed, I won't be able to get Arlecchino's weapon. So playing the part of a genius. Aw. So he was talking the other day about how, oh, excuse me. He was saying yesterday about how, oh, I bragged when we were at a party, and now everyone thought I was a genius, and so I'm just waiting for everybody to basically get tired of me, and then I can drop the charade, and he's like, oh, Shenny is the only one who's hung around, but eventually she'll get bored too, and then I can go back to living my life, and meanwhile she's like, already knows. What are you getting at? That he isn't a real genius. If I had to guess, he's just an ordinary person with a more active mind and ideas than usual. He was drunk boasting, that whole rejecting the Fontaine Research Institute's offer 3 times business. He's been putting in the work to protect that lie since. All right, please keep this a secret from me. I reckon he doesn't think I've noticed. How did you find out? Probably because I really have rejected them myself, I guess. Oh, she's the genius. I'm somewhat aware of their standards. As for Frida's, he's a decent ways off from making the cut. So you're playing along with his act then? You could say so. Specifically, I play the role of the ignorant newcomer, asking him all manners of questions. And sometimes I will ask him something particularly difficult on purpose and look at him expectantly, at which he will try his best to hide his embarrassment. And then I accidentally give him hints, and he will turn about and cough, pretending he knew all along. This whole process is quite fun, which is why I do not intend to expose him. Seeing him run around being busy is one of my favorite hobbies these days. Looks like this show will go on then. I imagine it will, for a long time in fact. As long as I don't tell him, he won't be able to tell. He even thinks that the newcomers' party was the first time we met, but it was a long time before that. He's so very inobservant. I'm sure he doesn't remember, or perhaps he doesn't care, who he blocked the bullet for that day. Oh, he saved her life. Aww. It's actually really cute. Oh my goodness. Alright. So let us get into a little bit of her story quest. Or her hangout event, I should say. Hangout event. X and cats. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that Colette hasn't gotten a hangout event, since Colette is also a character we got for free, plus she was one of the first ones we ran into in Sumeru. Before I move on, let me check something. Yeah, because the only... Yeah, Sumeru did not get many hangout events. We got Faruzan, Layla, and Kaveh. Kaya's was partly in Sumeru, but he's not a Sumeru character, so... I'm surprised we didn't get more, considering of how many the others got. Let's see, because we got Mondstadt. Let's see, so for Mondstadt, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So they got 4. Liwei has 1. No, they got 5 because they got Kaya, sorry. So we got Kaya, 5 for Kaya. or with Kaya. Leeway is 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 4. Inazuma is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sumeru is 3, and Fontaine is currently 1. So Sumeru needs at least 1 more to pop up for to be at least level with Leeway? Yeah, Leeway. I mean, of course, I'm sure they'll put others out. I mean, Kaya, we haven't been into Mondstadt for years in the story, in like the main story technically, and he got one. So, um, but yeah, for the ones that I'd kind of like to see, it would be nice if like Colette got one, Candace got one, because poor Candace, she has so much potential, and it's like they didn't use it. In fact, even when we met up with her and the idea should have been she came with us to the desert, it was Dea instead, which I have nothing against Dea, but I was like, oh, Candace is kind of my favorite Sumeru character, and it's so sad that she basically just kind of got stuck in the village. I mean, I know she says that, oh, she's the guardian and stuff like that there, and she's got to protect the village, but, you know, it's just like, holy cow. But let's do Layla's hangout first, and there she is. Hi, Lynette. I think I might have accidentally said Layla. That Lynette with a little kitty? Oh, the sun just immediately rose. Oh, look at the little bow tie. Isn't that adorable?
Meow.
Oh, she actually meowed to it. Aw. Approach stealthily.
It's you. 1 second. Now activating chat mode. You made me jump there. I thought they'd finally caught me.
Oh, made you jump? Barely, I didn't notice. Is someone out to kidnap you?
Objectively speaking, the trouble was entirely of my own making.
Uh-oh.
Half an hour ago, I was at Hotel de Boer for a drinks reception. It was to celebrate the successful opening of a show, but it was draining my energy. So, I waited for the right moment, then snuck away so I could switch to standby mode.
She's definitely an introvert. Like, I see. So they sent someone to find you and bring you back, but why?
Probably because I'm playing the lead role in the show.
Uh-oh, the lead role. Yeah, I can see that.
Is that so surprising? I'm always getting invitations to do solo performances. I just usually get Linny to write back and turn them down. But then came the Fontanalia Film Festival.
Hmm?
We took all the kids from the House of the Hearth out to see a film, and after it finished, they all started clamoring for me to try out acting for some reason. Even Linny was chanting along with them.
Oh no, so even her brother is ganging up on him. I like her little ear, how her ear kind of bends down. She's like,
Anyway, it just so happened that a director called Mary had sent me an invitation right around then. I'll spare you the details, but basically, I ended up accepting it.
Okay. So this is the dramatic debut of the magician's puppet, huh?
Yep, you nailed it. I'm playing the role of a puppet.
Oh, I like little hearts and thumbs up.
In fact, the show's called The Lost Puppet, and it's a masked mime show. So, I don't have to do any facial expressions or say any lines. Literally just a series of physical movements. The director says it's a very avant-garde art form.
Avant-garde. That does sound pretty avant-garde, but can people understand the plot?
Art is not comprehended by the mind, but felt in the heart. At least, that's what the director says. Anyway, if nothing else, the opening performance seemed to go down well.
There, so I don't cut off the words.
At the drinks reception, everyone was crowding around me, saying, "Triumphant character portrayal, faithful adaptation of the original work, unequivocally quintessentially avant-garde," and stuff like that.
Oh, she's not like that.
But being the center of attention is draining. So the moment they left me to go harass the director instead, I was out of there.
For once, you weren't able to use Lynette as a human shield.
The other thing is, some weird things happened while I was on the stage.
Uh-oh, what weird things?
Oh, sorry, Bonnie. I didn't mean to leave you out of the conversation. My bad.
Out of the conversation. Take it, Bonnie's your pet cat?
No, we just met. We bumped into each other right after I slipped away.
Oh, and you already named her?
Well, it'd be kind of difficult for us to communicate otherwise. Besides, I think she's taken a liking to the name. Haven't you, Bonnie?
And her little bow tie, it's so cute.
Yeah, that's right. Good kitty. We'll go find your owner soon, I promise.
Owner? Not a stray cat then?
Nope. She's wearing a collar, and for the most part, she's pretty well groomed. If she is a stray, she hasn't been for long. Her stomach's been growling a lot. I guess she must have been missing for a few days now. As much as I'd love to hang out with her for a while longer, her owner's probably worried sick about her. Assuming she has an owner, that is. But the reception... I should probably show my face there again at some point, even if it's just to make excuses and leave again. Decision time.
Is this a tough decision for you?
Well, I just find it exhausting, thinking through all the different ramifications of different choices and so on. That's more Lenny's area than mine. So, unless it's something really important, I usually just leave the decision-making to him.
But for once, he's not here when you need him. Bet that doesn't happen often.
It's fine. He got Feminade to make me a little something for just this situation.
Oh.
Poof! A phaetometer.
Oh! So you literally pulled it out of a hat. Oh, what's this?
It looks pretty over the top, I know. But it's essentially just a box of cards. He kept the design simple, so it'd be harder to break.
Oh yeah, because she's apparently really bad when it comes to machines. She keeps breaking them.
The way it works is, I pick a card at random, then look at the number on the card.
And how does that help you make a decision?
Well, for example, if the number on the card is 5 or higher, I help Bonnie find her owner. If it's less than 5, I go back to the reception.
I guess it is a good way to make a choice, especially since she really doesn't want to go back to the reception.
I just have to believe in the bond between me and my cards, and my fate will reveal itself to me in numerical form. At least, that's what Lenny said. Anyway, I guess I'll give you a demonstration. I didn't like that. Was I using it wrong? Maybe if I just...
Uh-oh, I think she's breaking it. Oh, hi Blaze, good evening. We're doing Lynette's Hangout event.
Clearly, there's some design flaws to iron out. I'll have to let Fremine know.
I feel like maybe this wasn't a design issue.
Let's see, which card did I get? 4.
Oh, less than 5, so that means no helping Bonnie. Oh, I want to help the kitty.
Well, the cards fell on the ground though, so I don't think it counts as fate. If you want to get the right answer, you have to let fate decide. Also something Linny said. So, to put it another way, if picking a card up off the ground is how to not leave it to fate, then that means it must be the wrong answer.
She's manipulating it. She's like, yeah, I do not want to go back to reception. I want to help the kitty, and I'm going to wrangle this as much as I can. I think what Lynette really meant is sometimes you have to accept the answer you didn't want.
Or why don't you pick a card? Since I ran into you here, that means our fates are like interfering with each other.
Alright, I'll pick another card for you.
Thank you. This one is final, I promise. Here, take the fatometer. If it's 5 or above, that means fate successfully changed. Anything lower than 5 is a fail. Also, if you have your own thoughts about what I should do, feel free to share it. Now that I've got a good problem solver here to help, I don't need to run every little thing by fate.
Let's see, I think you should head back to the drinks reception. I think you should help Bonnie. How about you do neither? Fatometer, I'm not sure. Let's leave this one to fate. Let's go help Bonnie.
So, we're looking for Bonnie's owner?
That's more important.
I think I'll go to the Steambird and see about putting an ad in the paper. You wanna come along? I think Bonnie wants you to come with.
Sure, if it means I get to hang out with you for a bit longer. Aww. We actually got the fatometer. Alright. Head over to the Steambird.
Every stupendous day starts with a steambird. Oh, hi Lynette. Hi Traveler. What can I help you with?
So we wanted to ask about the latest Tales of Humanity column. Any commissions in there about a missing cat?
I don't think so. Have you picked up a stray?
Yep. If there's no commission to follow up on, could we post a notice about the missing cat instead?
Why, of course. What a kind thing to do. Just fill out the form.
Well, we've registered you as missing. You can stay at my place until your owner finds you.
Aw.
Also, I just wanted to say thanks for keeping us company for so long.
It wasn't no big deal.
Well, I should probably head back to the drinks reception. Hopefully most of the people have left by now. If you've got some time, you should stop by my place tomorrow to see Bonnie. There's a nice cup of tea in it for you.
Aw. Looking forward to it.
Alright, see you then.
Wait until the next morning. Actually, I could probably walk over there because I know where she lives. Which is kind of interesting. When every time they talked about the House of Hearth, I expected it to be in Chesnaya, but no, it's in Fontaine. Which makes sense when you find out that Arlecchino is from Fontaine. But beforehand, it's like, oh, why is the House of Hearth here? Well, I mean, technically it's a lot nicer here than it was to be in Chesnaya, so. 7 o'clock. My gosh, they just pop right up there.
I believe this cat belongs to me.
I already told you, this isn't your cat.
Uh-oh. Now we're getting into a fight.
Just take a breather, you two.
Hmm? What's going on?
Oh, you're here. As you can probably see, you'll have to take a rain check on that tea I promised you. At least for now.
We have issues.
This is my friend's cat. He's preoccupied with some important business, so I came to retrieve her in his stead.
No, it's far more likely this cat escaped from the Humane Society.
The Humane Society? Passive checks are a special type of checks that need not be actively triggered, but instead will automatically trigger at specific times. If you pass, you will find some hidden information, such as irregularities in a person's attitude or certain incongruous details. Insight check. This gentleman's expression... Oh. Hiding something. His gaze keeps drifting off to the side. It's like he's trying to not draw attention to himself.
Bonnie?
That's the name I've given her in the meantime.
Animal handling. Let's see who Bonnie decides to approach. Let's see. The random checks triggered by the Fatometer often serve as indicators for destiny's course or the success or failure of an action. Press to draw a card and get a random number between 1 and 20. If the number displays is greater than or equal to the check difficulty, you will pass this check. Otherwise, you will fail it. Okay. Adequate preparation and friendly aid can sometimes affect the results of these checks. Your current check bonuses will be added to your randomly drawn number, making it easier to pass checks. So this is like D&D. Lies, both of them. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Oh, 16. Check success. Runs to you.
This complicates things.
it's like, no, I'll go with Traveler. It seems she quite likes me.
I told you before. This is my friend's cat. It's normal for her not to trust me.
Not really. I mean, if you guys are such good friends, she would at least kind of know you.
Listen, I'm the director of the Humane Society, okay? We've got so many strays, dogs, cats, you name it. I'm not even the one feeding them most of the time. You can hardly expect the cat to recognize me.
Also, it's like, if this guy is the Humane Society, and it's like, as long as the cat's got a home, that's all he should care about. So, what this whole thing of him coming to get the cat was like, no, you want to adopt cats out. What are you doing? Then how are you so sure she belongs to you?
She just looked somewhat familiar, so I came to check, just in case. If she turns out to be one of ours, I'll take her back. Simple as that. Even if that's not the case, the Humane Society could still take her in, if no one else comes to claim her, that is.
What's the Humane Society?
We're an organization that specializes in rescuing and sheltering stray animals. We've been in business for several decades now. I'm Bernard, the current director.
The Humane Society. Huh. The name sounds familiar. I remember hearing good things. You're the one in the Quartier Lyonnais?
Yes, that's the one. Anyway, if it's not too much trouble, could I possibly take a closer look at the cat? If it turns out I really am mistaken, I suppose that means the cat belongs to this lady here. She would be the only remaining option after all.
It belongs to my friend.
With us here to keep watch, it should be fine.
Go on, Bonnie.
Oh, nope. Looks like I was mistaken. They do look similar, but there's an ever so slight difference in this one's fur color. Deepest apologies, friends. Well, I suppose this means I still have a missing cat to search for. Apologies again for the confusion.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Wait a second. You lied earlier, didn't you?
Lied? I'm afraid I don't know what you mean.
A liar always has a tell. The look in their eyes, their breathing pattern, the way they hold themselves. The things that can give you away are often more numerous than you would think.
What are you talking about? The way I see it, you're conflating baseless conjecture with fact.
No, that's what they say with the police.
Normally, when someone is called out, their breathing speeds up as they begin to panic. But your breathing pattern hasn't changed one bit. In fact, it's been strangely calm and measured this entire time. It stands to reason, then, that your agitated behavior earlier was all an act. If you're a bad guy, I'm sure you'll take off running the first chance you get. If you're a good guy, the most likely explanation is that you're a member of the Guards, or some similar organization.
And you're basing this off of?
Intuition. Nothing more.
Intuition. Well, I have to hand it to you, Lynette. You're right. I'm a member of the Guards. The name's Elodie. I'm currently investigating a cross-border smuggling case. This cat here, Bonnie, was her name? Well, her owner is one of the prime suspects of our investigation.
Oh my gosh, and why would you want the guy's cat? Exclamation point?
A couple of days ago, our suspect got wind that we were on his tail and fled. That's most likely how he got separated from the cat. I just so happened to stumble upon your notice in the Steambird, so I decided to see if he'd come back for her. But it looks like I overestimated him.
If I were on the run, I don't think I'd come back either.
The impact of this case has been huge. The Marechaussee Phantom, the Guards, and the Special Patrol have all launched investigations. If there was even the slightest chance that he would show himself, I had to follow up on the lead.
So what's being smuggled?
A new kind of illegal drug. Imitation synth.
Oh, great. Yeah, they just kind of got rid of that. They don't need more of that stuff.
We confiscated all the synth on the market, but addiction isn't something that goes away overnight. Even without substances on the market, people are still looking for a way to get their next fix.
Oh yeah, that's the problem with addiction. It's like even when you want to stop, you panic and you can't. So it's like find those people and help them get into a program to help them slowly get rid of their addiction.
And criminals are all too eager to capitalize on that addiction. That was the impetus for imitation synth. Needless to say, a small-scale market opened up very quickly. After the original synth debacle, we put several measures into place to prevent similar incidents from occurring. The perpetrators got smart, though, and shifted their sales overseas before those measures could kick in. That's when the imitation synth smuggling began. We only recently got word of the presence of imitation synth overseas. We managed to track down evidence of some early transactions. What we were able to find out, however, hasn't proven that useful given the amount of time that has passed. The Marechaussee Phantom launched an investigation to track down every person in Fontaine capable of producing a drug like that. That's how we learned about Bonnie's owner.
Who is he exactly?
He's a researcher at the Fontaine Research Institute. His name is Pierre. Pierre Lafayette, to be exact.
Do I know him?
Lefebvre.
Oh, Lynette does. Fashion seems a bit unnatural.
The Marechaussee Phantom found him in Poisson. In addition to the cat, he also had a pendant with him.
Oh, with a snake and a sword on it.
At first, there wasn't much cause for suspicion. A search of his house didn't reveal much to go off of either. The Marechaussee Phantom very nearly left it at that. It was only later that we realized the coat of arms on his pendant belonged to none other than the Lafayette family, one of the most infamous aristocratic families in Fontaine. Obviously, this discovery prompted a further investigation into Pierre. At that point, however, we discovered that he'd already fled. Now the Guards and the Special Patrol are all searching for him.
Could his family be hiding him?
That's not possible, actually. The Lefebvre family has been gone for a long time.
Why do I have a feeling this has something to do with Arlecchino and the family and or the Fatui and stuff?
Exactly. Many years ago, several important members of the family, including the patriarch, were murdered by an assassin of unknown origin. From that point on, family's power and influence took quite the hit.
Mm.
The family is engaged in all manner of crimes. As you can imagine, there's no shortage of people waiting in the wings to take their revenge. And with the family severely weakened, they were able to do just that. Most of the remaining family members succumbed to sickness or hunger. The ones that survived are currently living out their days under a new identity.
My gosh, they really went for that family, didn't they?
Pierre is one of those very survivors. He's been hiding away in the Fontaine Research Institute all these years. His true identity unbeknownst to all. Until now, that is.
This is what I was thinking as she was talking. I was like, is it really okay to share all this information with us?
Well, my fellow guards have told me all about how smart and courageous you both are. And I know you possess a strong sense of justice.
Yeah, that we do.
There could be a chance that Pierre, or one of his accomplices, might attempt to get close to Bonnie. Now that you've been briefed on the situation, I was hoping you'd help us keep a lookout. If I take Bonnie back to the guards with me, there's no way Pierre will try and come for her. Not even the most daring of criminals would attempt something like that. I have to admit, I'm not holding out too much hope that Pierre will come back for her. But if there's even the slightest chance, then it's worth a shot. Well, I've got some other leads to follow up on. If Pierre does appear, please contact me right away.
I was like, could you tell us what he looks like? Because I have no idea. Oh, what's wrong?
It's nothing. I'm fine.
No, you're not.
It's just the head of the Lefebvre family. He was the eminent person who kidnapped me all those years ago.
Is he that guy you got sold to? Oh. Oh gosh, so Arlecchino did murder him. So yeah, I had a feeling Arlecchino was the unknown assassin. Wow, she covers her tracks really well.
It was at a dinner party. Someone tricked me into boarding the Lefebvre family carriage. Whoever it was, they took me back to their home. But before anything worse could happen, Father intervened.
Ah.
Yep. Father was the one who orchestrated the fall of the Lefebvre family. That's what led Lenny and I to join the House of the Hearth.
Yeah, well, considering that the guy apparently was collecting young girls and hiding them in the basement, like, yeah, that was not good. So, thankfully, Arlecchino got rid of a really nasty person. Didn't know she killed a bunch of the family, though. That is kind of spooky.
After all these years, I never thought I'd hear the Lefebvre name again. Don't worry about me. I wasn't feeling sorry for myself. I was just thinking about Lenny. He's been acting strange recently. He avoids me for days on end, consumes himself with some secret investigation, and then out of the blue pushes me to do that acting job.
That does sound kind of sus.
Thinking about it now, it's almost like the one I drew from that deck of cards was part of his plan all along. He must have asked Fremine to help him out. In any case, I know he's hiding something from me. He's really pulled out all the stops this time.
He definitely has a type of personality where he believes he has to handle stuff on his own. And, not good, especially when he has so many people around him to help him. Think he knows about Pierre?
It's very possible. I'm sure he tried to send me away because he was afraid it would bring up some painful memories for me. It wasn't necessary, though. Even after all these years, he's still as overprotective as ever.
Well, he was very scared for you.
You'll have to help me teach him a lesson if we run into him along the way.
Wait, are we going somewhere?
Yep. I want to head to the Fontaine Research Institute to learn more information about Pierre. Just let me activate search mode and then we'll head out. Who knows? Maybe we'll run into Linny along the way.
Are you trying to help out Linny with his investigation, or are you trying to prove yourself?
A little bit of both, perhaps. For the most part, though, I just have the sense that something's not right. Something isn't adding up about Pierre's story. I'm just not sure what.
I also want to know what secrets he's hiding. Sometimes you just got to take the bull by the horns, right?
Okay, I'll write a letter explaining everything to the crew. Once that's done, we can head out.
I wonder if we're taking Bonnie with us. Yep. We found him, like, immediately. Hey, you guys.
Lynette, you're, not at rehearsal?
You can drop the act, brother. In fact, I don't think either of us will have a need for acting anytime soon. You should know better than to try and keep something from me. You've never been able to do that, even when we were kids.
And that's why I tried to distract you with the masked mime show. But I guess you're just too good.
Care to introduce us to your new assistant?
Uh-oh, jealousy.
This is Officer Shovras, captain of the Special Security and Surveillance Patrol. You may have met her already.
Meet again.
Nice to see you.
Hi.
I should clarify something. Mr. Linny's here at my invitation, not the other way around. To borrow your expression, Miss Lynette, I suppose that would make him my assistant more than anything.
Oh. Yeah, I still don't have her. She's the one 4-star I don't have. I did roll in the banner for her, but she just never showed up.
We've brought on Mr. Linny as a consultant in the past. He was instrumental in helping us crack a case involving a perpetrator who used magic tricks to commit crimes. I was hoping he'd be able to provide some valuable insight this time around as well.
Squirrels ran by. Are you here because of the case?
So you've heard everything then?
About.
That's exactly why we're here. There's always been questions surrounding the fall of the Lefebvre family. Some people even believe the House of the Hearth was involved.
Oh, we gotta be careful what we say.
Whoever was behind it all was extremely cautious. They didn't leave a shred of evidence. This very fact, however, leads me to believe it was indeed the work of that harbinger.
Oh.
I took a look at the entrance and exit records of all the carriages that night. Let's just say it wasn't hard to deduce that there's ill will between you two. Don't worry, I don't have any evidence to that effect, and I certainly don't plan on going to bat for such a despicable family. Plus, you were victims back then more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, Arlecchino might have been kind of intense in what she did, but she did save Lynette and those other girls.
I sought Mr. Linny's help with the smuggling case. Nothing more.
You're really teaming up with the House of the Hearth?
The way I look at it, it's a collaboration between us as people, not the organizations we represent. Besides, by working together, we can expose the truth as quickly as possible. You can hardly say that's at odds with the justice my organization strives for.
You know, I kind of wonder if they put Lynette's hangout event here in this patch because Arlecchino is going to be coming in the next patch. So it's kind of like a not exactly a preview for Arlecchino, but kind of like a remembrance of like, oh yeah, you remember? She's coming.
Not at all. I was planning to invite you from the very beginning, Miss Lynette. It's just that my assistant here raised some objections.
Uh-oh. It really is all Linny's fault. Aw.
Linny, I'm not the same person I was back then. That little girl who did nothing but cower in the corner in fear, she doesn't need saving anymore.
Still, I understand how he feels, though. I mean, if my family was my siblings were in danger, I'd protect them. Like, I know you want to protect your little sister. He is very protective. He is like gung-ho protective.
I'm sorry, Lynette. You're right. I let my concerns get the better of me.
Of course, he has every right to be, as he said, because he and Lynette are orphans, and it's like, she's my only, they only have each other, and so when she got kidnapped that night, he almost lost his only family.
Oh, and the next time you want to distract me, you should try a different approach.
One she doesn't want to keep running away from.
Who's this? You pick up a stray while I was gone?
It's a bit complicated. I'll explain later. Anyway, her name's Bonnie.
Well, if there are no objections, then I suppose the only thing left to say is... Lynette, Traveler, welcome to the team.
You're welcome. Or thank you.
It appears the Lefebvre family was very particular in their use of insignias and emblems.
It's kind of funny how every single thing in Fontaine turns into some sort of crime, murder mystery. I mean, even the Hangout is turning into one of those.
The family would use different emblems to mark differences in status, blood relation, and the like. In fact, the insignia that was discovered on the pendant was used to represent an illegitimate child.
Oh, no. Oh gosh, I swore.
It's highly likely. That very status might have been what allowed him to emerge from the fall of his family relatively unscathed. It would also explain why he was able to assume a new identity as a researcher with relative ease.
We discovered something interesting, though. After talking to some of his co-workers, it appears he pretty much works at the Institute in name only. He's practically been cast out.
Wait, what happened?
Apparently, Pierre was once addicted to synth. He tried to use the resources at the Institute to create a substance with a similar effect. He claimed it was just for research purposes, but the Institute revoked his access to the relevant materials regardless. He was placed on disciplinary leave, pending a thorough investigation of his actions.
Oh, so he got in trouble.
But it seems the Institute ran into some trouble along the way. Could have been a lack of personnel or a timing issue. In any case, they had to table their formal investigation into Pierre. Unfortunately, that also included reporting any relevant information to the higher authorities. As for his family background, it appears none of his co-workers at the Institute were aware of that information. All they could tell us was that he was quite the recluse.
Maybe we'll have to take over investigations elsewhere then. Did you find anything useful at his residence?
Other than the pendant, we didn't find anything else of note at his residence in Poisson. Based on the samples of imitation synth we've been able to analyze, it appears the substance leaves behind strong traces wherever it's produced or stored. Those traces might not be obvious to the casual observer, but they're not something our guard poodles would miss. Pierre's home, though, came up completely clean.
The guard poodles.
We didn't find any records indicating possible involvement in overseas transactions either. So, the Marechaussee Phantom didn't view him as a major suspect at first.
Maybe he had a separate, dedicated area where he made the imitation synth.
Well, his neighbors did say he was often gone for long stretches of time. You would think with him out and about so much, people would have spotted him around Poisson, but residents said they barely ever saw him in town. If his reclusive nature was just a matter of keeping a low profile, I guess it would make sense for him to have a secret base to carry out his business.
After he disappeared, the guards conducted a thorough search of Poisson, but but they didn't come across any suspicious locations.
Poisson. You know Hotel de Boer, where I first found Bonnie? To get there from Poisson, you have to cross a stretch of ocean. It's not somewhere a cat could just wander off on its own.
A cat? You mean...
He was like, yes, me.
Bonnie is Pierre's cat.
Oh, that's right! When the Marechaussee Phantom first tracked him down, I remember there being something about a cat in their report. So this is her?
From what we've learned about Pierre's habits, he doesn't seem like the type to venture out without a purpose. So what you're saying, Lynette, is that Bonnie couldn't have gone missing in Poisson. If that's true, then...
She must have wandered off only after Pierre brought her to his secret base. Either that or he dumped her, but why would you go, if you're on the run, why would you go there to dump her and then run away?
Exactly. Bonnie might even know where it is.
Wait, you think the cat can lead us there? But she's not trained like one of our guard poodles. How is she supposed to understand what we want her to do?
Lynette could give it a try. Animal handling, I can give it a go. Meow, meow, meow.
Meow. Meow, meow. Meow?
Yeah, because she is part cat.
Near the coast, the beach, and beneath the cliffs. The place we're looking for is most likely north of the Court of Fontaine.
Well, I've certainly never taken a witness statement like this before.
Well, if it works out, maybe it's something worth getting used to.
Cats and humans are actually pretty alike. When it comes to communication, most of what we want to convey can be accomplished through body language alone. But humans tend to rely too much on speech to ever take advantage of that fact.
There's my own kitty back there.
Of course, body language has its limitations. You're not going to be able to get across anything too complicated.
The important thing is that we now have a lead. Let's try and find a place that matches the clues Bonnie gave us.
Kind of funny, we came to the Fontaine Institute. Oh, look, more cats. We came to the Fontaine Institute, and all we did was run into Linny and Chevra, so we didn't actually go into the Institute.
Seems like Bonnie is trying to take us somewhere.
Oh, follow the kitty.
Gardamex ahead.
Look out!
Oh,
Solidify! A bitter pill to swallow.
The doctor was seeing. Wingblade.
Stabilize. Mind the side effects.
Trip on us.
Order guide you.
The doctor was over here. Wingblade.
Mind the side effects.
I gotta finish leveling up her artifacts. Oh, what was her thing? Crit rate's not very high. Got a lot of energy charge, though.
Wow, Lynette, you found this place so easily. If I thought there was any chance you'd say yes, I'd recruit you into the Special Patrol here and now. No questions asked.
Sounds familiar. I pretty much receive letters daily from people trying to poach her from me.
Let's just focus on our search. There's a lot to investigate.
Aha! Just as we thought. This is where the imitation synth was being made. Looks like he's got more than just imitation synths stashed around here. In addition to the raw materials needed to synthesize the substance itself, there's a large quantity of cleaning agents and a few drugs I haven't been able to identify. These cleaning agents are likely used to dispel traces of the substance, like its smell. The Special Patrol did some digging into imitation synth. Our records indicate that it's very difficult for ordinary people to detect traces left behind by the stuff. I'm sure that was the case for Pierre as well. It must have taken a considerable amount of time and skill to ensure all those traces get washed away. But what are these other drugs for?
I'm worried too.
The material these bags are made of, it's quite rare. It's the very same, actually. Romaritime flower fiber. But there's something special about the composition of these bags. I took a closer look, and it appears they're not only waterproof, but also corrosion and leak resistant. Even the strings look specially designed to keep the bags closed nice and tight. I came across some bags made of the same material just now, but they were much smaller and thinner. From the look of them, they seemed far less durable as well.
So, kind of like one of those small sealed bags?
Very similar, actually. Normally, it would be easy for a guard poodle to sniff out the imitation synth, but if it was sealed away in a bag like that, it might be possible to elude detection for some time. But what could these big bags be for then? If the goal is to keep the imitation synth hidden and sealed away, these bags seem a bit too conspicuous.
Oh, there you go.
When the Marechaussee Phantom searched Pierre's house, there was no sign of these barrels, right?
He must have moved them, but carrying them all the way out here would attract way too much attention.
You're right. That doesn't seem like his way of doing things. How did he get them here then?
Maybe floated them down the river? There we go. Yep, the barrels show signs of water damage. Dried up water stains can be seen around the circumference of the barrels. There seems to be a pattern to the location of the water stains. For some reason, they appear to be limited to the lower half of the barrels. The lids don't seem very tight, leaving sizable gaps around the edges, but there doesn't appear to be any traces of water inside the barrels.
Only the lower halves of the barrels appear to have been submerged in water.
Based on the various ingredients we've found, this appears to be where Pierre was cooking up his imitation synth. It looks like he used a special cleaning agent to get rid of any residual traces of the substance on his person before he left. That's how he was able to get past the guard poodles.
That's why the Phantom didn't find anything suspicious in his home.
So then he transferred the imitation synth into small sealed bags and took it somewhere else for the drop-off.
No. I don't believe our suspect is the kind of person who'd go around carrying incriminating evidence with him. That would potentially create too many eyewitnesses. The cleaning agent and the sealed bags might get past the guard poodles, but if a member of the public or even a guard on patrol happened to see him during the drop-off, A quick search would reveal everything. That's still a very risky operation.
What about if the drop-off happened at sea? There's be no one around to see him.
The barrels we found were wet around the base, but the top half was dry. As if they'd been standing upright in the water. If you put a barrel in the water, it will normally float on its side. Unless it's heavily loaded, in which case it'll sink.
So he must have used something to tightly seal big bags full of air, turning them into an airtight flotation devices.
Yes. With flotation rings around the body of the barrels, they'd stay upright in the water. And then he could afford to load them more fully.
You think he used floating barrels? I suppose if he acted at night, when there are very few other boats around and visibility is low, it's a valid theory. We can't rule it out.
But then, wouldn't the barrels be carried off by the waves or the currents? How would the person doing the pickup know where to look?
The barrels that could float away and get lost at sea. Sounds difficult to keep in one place, kind of like certain pets.
Traveler, can you come take a dip in the sea with me? I have a feeling that somewhere down there, we might find some rope. If a rope can be used to keep a pet from running away, then why not a barrel?
There's a strange fish symbol.
This isn't the place. The wreckage of a small boat? This isn't the place.
Oh, so that's what that fish is for. They started putting an icon so you'd be like, okay, I need healing. Where's the healing fish?
Got it. Time to go up and report.
Rope around a rock.
As expected, we found a few pieces of rope and some anchoring stones underwater. If you attach them to a floating barrel, it would look like this.
Keep it from floating away.
With this anchoring system, it would be possible to use floating barrels for the drop-off. You would just need to drop them in the water at the agreed-upon location. We also came across the wreckage of a small boat. It must have been left out on the water and capsized due to the force of the wind and waves. Its small size, however, would have made it perfect for staying undetected.
Let's talk this through. Based on the evidence we've collected, it seems like Pierre would row a small boat out to the agreed-upon transfer point, drop off the barrels, leave, and then row back and retrieve them after the transfer was complete.
Why use such a convoluted drop-off method, though? Wouldn't it be easier for both parties to meet up at the transfer point on their respective vessels and exchange the goods right then and there?
It could be that he was trying to avoid meeting up with his associate face to face. As one of the sole survivors of the Lefebvre family, maybe he was just used to that sort of elusive lifestyle.
It seems like Pierre deliberately chose the floating barrel method so that the goods could be dropped off and picked up at separate times. That way, the two parties wouldn't have to meet each other.
Well, if that's the case, they must not have a very close working relationship.
Let's not jump to any conclusions just yet. Assumptions can be detrimental to solving a case. It's possible they were just trying to keep a low profile. Two boats sailing to the same location at once could be too conspicuous. The most important thing is that we can now confirm Pierre wasn't acting alone. The floating barrel drop-off system is proof enough of that. Let's say for now that he was only in charge of producing the imitation synth. That would mean there has to be at least one other person involved in the operation, likely in charge of transporting the goods across the border.
That explains why we couldn't find evidence linking him to any overseas operations.
Since we've determined that the goods were transported by boat, maybe we can track down some travelogues or something.
We can certainly check the various ports for that information. It's possible, however, that Pierre's associate also used a small boat for the transport, and docked along the shore rather than at a large port. If that's the case, it's unlikely there would be any record left behind.
Have you looked into the ports already?
Absolutely. Before Pierre disappeared, we made sure to investigate all sorts of outward-bound vessels. We also had port authorities keep a lookout for anything suspicious. Unfortunately, we were never able to find out how they managed to get the imitation synth across the border.
A small boat and a few barrels isn't going to get you very far.
You're right. Whatever vessel was used for the pickup, the person responsible for smuggling the substance out of Fontaine would have had to use a larger vessel for the actual transport. That's the only way they would be able to smuggle on a large enough scale to make a profit. They must have found a way to disguise the imitation synth to clear port inspections.
Excuse me. Well, even if we can't find any travel logs, we can still search for other clues.
Exactly. We can't let any opportunities slip through the cracks. Although, given the amount of ports that could be involved, we should probably split up.
I'll run home and ask some of my brothers and sisters to try and dig up some information.
I should also head back and update my platoon on our progress. I'll grab some reinforcements while I'm at it. Lynette, Traveler, why don't you head to Lumiduce Harbor and see what you can find out?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. Come on, Bonnie. You too.
Can't leave Bonnie behind. Like Bonnie and her cute little bow tie.
Oh, Lynette, Traveler. And Bonnie, too. What brings you all here?
Oh, she's in uniform now.
Did something happen?
Oh, you're here to check travel logs.
Oh. I see. Thank you for everything you're doing for the people of Fontaine.
She kind of lied to us before, but she is a good person.
I'm in charge of guarding the port. You mentioned you were after some travelogues, right? I can go fetch those for you.
Looks like I've got another hard day of work ahead of me.
Are things usually pretty hectic around here?
No, not usually. It's this incident that happened recently. Before that, everything was normal. All we had to do was confiscate anything suspicious and we could call it a day. Pretty simple stuff. But things are much more complicated now. We somehow let suspicious cargo pass through the port undetected. Not even our guard poodles were able to sniff it out. Even worse, we still don't know how the perpetrator was able to conceal the goods so well.
By suspicious cargo, do you mean imitation synth?
Yep. However, prohibited substances are just one example.
We confiscate all sorts of contraband during the course of our inspections. Or at least, we're supposed to.
So what happens to the goods you confiscate?
Oh, we keep them in a storage locker. If they turn out to be something particularly dubious, we'll turn them over to the Maison Orderly. If the goods are only slightly suspicious but could otherwise be harmless, like raw materials that could potentially be used to create contraband, we return them to the ship they were confiscated from, instead of letting them pass through the port.
Sorry for the wait. These are the travel logs for all the recent activity at the port.
Oh, you brought Gerard with you.
Actually, he followed me here himself. It's like he smells something on me.
Uh-oh. I might take back what I said.
Huh. I wonder why Gerard is reacting to you two so strongly.
Could be because we just left the place where the imitation synth was made. Whatever I smelled on you who probably came from us.
Huh? We were so careful not to touch it, but we still ended up with traces on us. If it leaves a residue so easily, I just don't understand how the culprit was able to disguise the goods at all.
Why don't you have a look at the travel logs first? All ships coming in and out of the port are recorded here, except for the ones the port authorities ride to and from work.
The Humane Societies, listen, I had a feeling that guy wasn't just thrown in there. Something seems sus.
The Humane Society.
Organization before,
Their
right?
name is all over the exit logs. The purpose for leaving is always listed as overseas adoption.
Ah, the director of the organization explained that actually. He said a lot of the cat and dog breeds unique to Fontaine are also very popular overseas. So, his organization offers an overseas adoption program.
Bernard, the director of the Humane Society, was the man who came looking for Bonnie earlier.
The cat that fled from Pierre looks just like the cat the Humane Society is looking for. Could that really be a coincidence? Yeah, I have a feeling that Bernard was using the Humane Society and the whole cat and dog protection bit to smuggle the synth. Purpose.
Have you figured it out too, Traveler? The way the criminal disguised the goods? When Bernard asked to take a closer look at Bonnie, he was actually checking whether there was any imitation synth in her stomach.
Oh no, that's horrible.
Wait, what?
The sealed bags we found at the secret base. They were specially made to be corrosion resistant.
So that they wouldn't be digested.
There were gaps around the lids of the barrels, and airbags were used to keep them upright in the water.
So the animals would be able to breathe. Oh, this is horrible.
Those drug Chevres found at the secret base. She most likely didn't recognize them because they're not used on human beings. It's an anesthetic used on pets. The perpetrator must have given it to the animals. Pierre must have made the animals swallow the sealed bags full of imitation synth at his secret base. Then he stuffed them into floating barrels and left the rest to Bernard.
The sealed bags combined with an animal's body odor would certainly be enough to mask the scent of imitation synth.
During our inspections, we would have never thought to inspect the bellies of those animals for anything suspicious. Even if we tried to feel around for something, I'm sure it would be difficult to detect.
Exactly. I bet Bernard even transported animals with synth in their stomach alongside ones without. That way, it would be even harder to say with certainty that something was amiss.
You think Bonnie could have imitation synth in her stomach?
She's probably in the clear. Otherwise, Bernard would have never left without her. I'm guessing he didn't know whether Pierre had already hidden the next batch of imitation synth before he fled.
I don't like this, Pierre or Bernard. Hurt animals, how dare you?
Just imagine. He sees the notice we put in the Steambird,
and it turns out that one of the very cats he gave to Pierre for the smuggling operation is out in the open, roaming the streets of Fontaine. If Pierre had already hidden the next batch of imitation synth, then Bonnie would practically be living proof of their crimes. He would have had no choice but to go after her.
So, that's why he came to find you and insisted on taking a closer look at the cat.
Pierre must have fled in a hurry. That fact is probably what spared Bonnie.
Wait a second, I'm a little lost here. I get the part about hiding the substance in the pets, but those, what did you call them again? Floating barrels? Why even put the animals in there in the first place? If you've got something as convenient as a floating barrel, why not just stuff it with the imitation synth directly? Why not wait to hide the stuff until after the exchange has been made?
In order to make sure the animals could swallow the sealed bags, they made them extremely thin. Had they not done that, the animals would have likely bitten or chewed through them. That step would have required a lot of energy, as well as a certain amount of technical expertise. So, it was better left to the more experienced Pierre. We've already proven how easy it is to pick up trace amounts of imitation synth, so I'm sure Bernard was taking all the precautions he could to avoid the same fate.
Okay, then let's head to the Humane Society right away and bring that guy to justice. I'll bring a Gardamek to speed up the process.
Sorry, but I can't go with you. Surely you'll be able to handle him, between Elodie's Gardamek and all three of you?
The headquarters of the Humane Society should be somewhere around here. Bernard could show up any moment now.
Ah, you're the people from earlier. Wait, you're from the guards?
After him! We can't let him get away!
I'm back here, you!
Give it up, Bernard.
Mercy, have mercy. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything I know.
The Humane Society has done so much good over the years, and yet you have committed such an atrocious deed in its name.
Yeah, those poor animals.
Look, I didn't have a choice, okay? My father cared about those blasted animals so much, he didn't bother to take care of his human wife and son at all. While those animals were showered with love, I lived worse than a dog.
No one asked. Tell me, how did you first get to know Pierre?
No one asked! Like, we're not here for your sob story info dump. Tell us the truth.
Well, after I took over the Humane Society, it gradually became harder and harder to maintain its operations. Until one day, someone suddenly passed me a letter. It said that I could stand to get a large sum of money as long as I helped them to transport some animals abroad. It was only after a few such transports that I finally understood what I was really transporting. But then, Pierre wrote to me, saying that we were already partners in crime and that I better keep cooperating with him if I didn't want to be reported to the guards. I would order wooden barrels and flotation devices according to his instructions, and then load the sleeping animals onto a boat. Once I sailed to the location he provided, I would dump everything together into the sea. And a few days after that, I'd come by again in my boat and pick up the animals sleeping in the barrels. Once I had received enough of them, I'd bring them to the harbor to be adopted abroad. That guy, Pierre, he was running the entire show. He set up all the meeting times and found all the foreign adopters. Oh, and he even supplied all of the goods too. I just did the transport. He was the one who planned out and executed everything else.
So where is he now?
Look, I don't know, okay? I've never ever met him in person. We've only ever communicated through letters.
And when did he send his final letter to you?
Just last night, he said that the Marechaussee Phantom is now after him, so he's planning to go into hiding for some time. He didn't mention where he's thinking about going, though, but he did tell me to look out for the guards.
It's been a few days since Pierre's last appearance. I'd wager that he sent that letter after he found his hiding spot.
So where is that letter now?
I burned them. It was on his orders. I had to burn every letter after reading them. I wasn't even allowed to share them with the rest of the Society employees.
Sure sounds like you're trying to use the lack of witnesses or evidence to pin the blame on Pierre.
No, I swear, this time I'm only telling you the truth.
Well, we can check the truth of your statements at the Opera House. I hope you know what'll be coming for you if I were to find any discrepancy between the evidence and the testimony you just gave.
Oh my gosh, she definitely looks like she's gonna give him a what for.
I know, I swear I was just telling the truth.
My thanks to you both. Had it not been for you, I really don't know what would have happened to this case.
Bonnie helped, too.
That's true. It was all thanks to her that Bernard was finally exposed. And it looks like she's grown quite fond of you two as well. Then I'll leave you be. Just let me know if you find any other new leads.
Attempt to close the case.
It was that obvious, huh? Well, even though it didn't feel like Bernard was lying, after talking to him, I'm getting an even stronger sense that something's not quite right. We investigated so quickly that perhaps we've missed a thing or two along the way. Let me activate deduction mode and consider things again from the top to see if we can find anything new. Is there still anything unresolved or strange that we should try to consider?
About what we found in Poisson, about Bernard's letters, there's an unexplained part in the operations of this trafficking ring.
Well, we've discovered that Bernard is responsible for the trafficking, while Pierre deals with supplying the goods. Is there something else in this scheme that we're missing?
Oh, here we go. See.
There's no need to rush. Let's see if we can find any other suspicious points about this case. Bernard claims to have received a letter last night from Pierre. In the letter, Pierre stated that he had gone into hiding. Is there something wrong with the letter? If Bonnie had imitation synth in her body, then she was a liability that had to be recovered at all costs. But if she wasn't carrying anything, then it would have made sense to tell Bernard not to worry. And thinking about it, Bernard only attracted our attention in the first place because he came to look for Bonnie. Could it be that the person who wrote the letter also knew nothing about Bonnie's whereabouts? Or they had a separate goal entirely? The Marechaussee Phantom found Bonnie and the Lefebvre pendant at Pierre's residence. That was the beginning point of our investigation. Why would he leave such an obvious trail for us to follow, when he took so much care to not leave any traces of imitation synth in his home?
Now behave, and follow me to the interrogation room.
Ow! That hurt. Ow!
Current check bonus. Clue. Initial suspicions. Clue. The letter's purpose. No, we can't let her get away. Aha! Holy right there.
Is there something else you need from me, traveler?
Also, too, she was saying, like, oh, the dog keeps wanting to sniff me. It's because she's probably got synth on her. Bernard and Pierre, they weren't really acting alone, were they?
Huh?
I see. It all makes sense now.
Hey, what are you talking about? Look, even our confessed criminal here has no idea what you're saying.
You're done, lady.
Because he has been kept in the dark all along. And I assume it's the same with Pierre.
Bernard thought he was communicating with Pierre, and Pierre thought he was taking orders from Bernard. But all this time, neither of them knew that there was a third person all along.
That never quite added up for me. Why did Pierre feel compelled to return to his home with Bonnie and the pendant, and make them so easy to find for the Marechaussee Phantom?
Any animals Pierre received from the floating barrel should have been taken directly to his base, and considering his precarious situation, the pendant should have been the last thing Pierre would leave lying around.
Both of these things are in stark contrast to his usual meticulous and vigilant behavior. There's only one reasonable explanation. He was following orders, just like Bernard. He probably received the following instructions right before the Phantom came knocking on his door. Bring the cat and the pendant, and our undercover agent will be sure to help you. Unbeknownst to him, however, the third person who wrote that letter to him had long decided to sacrifice him and Bernard to save themselves.
They instructed the two men to communicate through letters and barrels specifically so they'd never get to meet each other. Honestly, this third person probably planned to sell both of them out from the very beginning.
What? You can't be serious. There was a third person involved?
If you focus only on Bernard's testimony, it's easy to believe that only Bernard and Pierre were working together. The case appeared extremely simple. Bernard did the trafficking, Pierre the imitation synth production, drugging, and stuffing.
With everything accounted for, the third person would then be cleared of all suspicion.
Wait. But that doesn't make any sense. If that's the actual truth, then as soon as Pierre is caught, he'll explain his side of the story and the third person will...
Yep, which is why the third person made sure that Pierre would never be found again.
Uh-oh. I was gonna say, as it was wrapping this up, I thought to myself, okay, well, wait a minute, we caught Pierre, or we caught Bernard, but Pierre was still out there, so this isn't over. But now we kind of find out like that Pierre is dead.
Once they had instructed Pierre to expose himself, the third person wrote to Pierre again, suggesting that everything had been taken care of, and he should take Bonnie and safely return to his base.
They then ambushed Pierre and made him disappear.
Of course, Pierre's disappearance at such a sensitive time immediately made him a prime suspect. Knowing that Bonnie had last been seen with him, all the third person would have to do from that point on would be to lead the Phantom to investigate the Humane Society and get Bernard to confess the truth.
Bernard would then testify that Pierre was the one who came up with the whole plot, and Pierre would be seen as having gone into hiding in anticipation of getting caught.
Wait, so you're saying that the letter I received yesterday, the one that made me think Pierre was still alive, it was also sent by the third person?
Is that what happened? I'll get back to headquarters right away and reinvestigate this case from the top.
Not so fast.
Chevra said that assumptions can be detrimental to solving a case. Someone among us, however, has been feeding us all kinds of preconceived notions ever since our first meeting. They suggested that Pierre's disappearance was an attempt to escape the judgment of the law, and that Pierre was a scion of the Lefebvre family. But if the disappearance is truly just a cover-up for a murder, then couldn't the true scion have been an illegitimate daughter, rather than an illegitimate son?
Huh?
Haven't you taken this joke a bit too far? You're right. I did let a lot of assumptions get to my head when I first started to talk to you about the case. I'll make sure to correct my behavior.
You deliberately fed us lies, but even you could not control every last detail of your plan. There was a flaw in your scheme, and something didn't quite go as planned. Getting the Marechaussee Phantom to notice Pierre was only the first part of your plan. Had they failed to take notice of the Humane Society, they could have cast a wider net. And you couldn't predict what they might possibly find, if given enough time. This, of course, was the main weakness of your plan.
And once the Special Patrol and Lynette got involved, it became even harder to control the outcome of the investigation.
As someone accustomed to acting from behind the scenes, you didn't want to take the risk of personally proposing a raid on the Humane Society. So, you thought about pulling a few more strings, so all of the suspicion would point towards Bernard and his society.
A great option, of course, would be to also dispose of Bonnie and leave her body at Pierre's base in anticipation of a later discovery.
Once the Phantom expanded their search, it would only be a matter of time before they found Pierre's base. If a cat last seen with the suspect turned up dead at the imitation synth base, it wouldn't be long until the Phantom would figure out exactly how she had been mistreated and turn their eyes towards the one organization that has been sending boatloads of animals out of Fontaine.
However, something unexpected happened at the base. Bonnie managed to escape in the chaos.
It was probably during your ambush of Pierre. You didn't even have the time to check if she had already been stuffed full of imitation synth. Still, you soon found another opportunity. Before long, Bonnie had made her way back into the city, and even popped up on the Steambird. Like Bernard, you desperately wanted to confirm the contents of her stomach, so you hurried to find us. Unlike Bernard, however, you were hoping that Pierre did have the time to make her swallow a load of imitation synth. While investigating the suspect's cat, we unexpectedly discovered that the suspect has been smuggling imitation synth using living animals as intermediaries. That was your plan, in any case. With that, you'd have been able to lead the investigation towards the Humane Society.
But Bonnie was very lucky, and you were extremely unlucky.
Bonnie had managed to escape before Pierre was able to stuff her full of imitation synth. That part of your plan could no longer be carried out. But as shrewd as you were, you came up with another plan right away. You manipulated the Traveler and I to help you identify Bernard as a key suspect.
You knew Lynette was investigating the case with Chevres, and you also knew of Lynette's previous encounter with the family.
You used the Lefebvre name as bait to get us to join your investigation. With 2 extra bodies around, the Special Patrol is sure to soon take note of the strange event of Bernard somehow having a reason to look for Pierre's cat.
So, what you're saying is, I went to all that trouble just for the chance that you might put forth the suggestion that would lead you down the wrong path.
Her voice kind of sounds a little bit like the owl lady. Or, what's her name? Oh, Ida?
Of course, you did far more than that. Just now at Lumidu's Harbor, were you not the person who highlighted the suspicious activities of the Society?
By showing us the port travel logs.
Oh,
You even highlighted the Society's activities during your compilation of the logs, so they'd be immediately visible to anyone examining the records. Moreover, the logs contained no records of the Port Authority's activities. In other words, your activities.
and what are you trying to suggest with that?
I am insinuating that you had plenty of opportunities to transfer the raw materials for imitation synth from the harbor to a boat, and then sail over to the meeting place full of floating barrels. And that's how neither the trafficker nor the manufacturer knew there was a third person who supplied the raw materials, and surreptitiously operated between them.
Hmm.
Pierre manufactured imitation synth using the raw materials you provided, stuffed the animals, and placed the animals back into the barrels. Having received the green light from you as Pierre, Bernard then retrieved his animals and shipped them out of Fontaine once he had received enough for a full batch. This is the truth behind your smuggling ring.
I can't believe it. I never put 2 and 2 together.
You've sure got an extremely lively imagination.
And she's still lying.
So what do you think she's going to say next?
Ever thought about a career in writing crime novels? But do you have any evidence?
But do you have any evidence?
And she did.
It appears that it's quite easy to predict what you'll think or say. Then if we apply that to this case, we can also think of a few places to look for incriminating evidence. You know very well that this case will not end until Pierre is found, so you will have him commit suicide out of fear and shame to end the investigation for good. That way, you can also pin the blame for the overseas smuggling activities, the theft of the harbor's confiscated raw materials, and even the Lefebvre name on him. After all, dead men tell no tales. But you still want it to appear as if he had sent that last letter to Bernard, so you have to make sure he cannot be found until after Bernard has confessed to the authorities. To do that, you either will hide his body until you've found an appropriate time to set up a fake suicide scene, or you'll dump it someplace where it'll be hard to determine the exact time of death. Submerged in water, for instance. The location would ideally allow you to keep the body hidden for some time while also letting you keep an eye on it.
Yikes.
There are only so many options to hide a person's time of death after all. As long as the Phantom investigates each of the possibilities in turn, they'll surely find Pierre's remains. Especially since, as the prime suspect who will now be taken into custody, you will no longer have the time to move him, or set up a fake suicide scene to cover up the murder.
How absurd. And on what grounds will you order my arrest? Don't think for a second that your spouts of nonsense will amount to any kind of real argument. After all, I'm...
Elodie Lefebvre!
I knew it.
As the captain of the Special Security and Surveillance Patrol, I hereby declare you as a suspect in the case. If you have any objections, you may raise them later during interrogation.
That's right. We received a message from Lumidu's Harbor that you were going to investigate the Humane Society. We didn't expect to run into you at such a critical moment.
While at the harbor, we noticed something else extremely interesting. Apparently, you often used all kinds of excuses to swap your shifts. And if one were to match the times of your shifts to the activities of the Humane Society and those of certain foreign ships, they'd find them to be an exact match.
That's just a coincidence.
Yes, I'm sure you have already thought of a dozen different ways to explain away the suspicious activities, but as far as evidence goes, that should be enough to warrant taking you into custody.
Don't worry. If it turns out that the guards are still unable to find any evidence after all this, Lynette and I will do everything in our power to clear your name.
Although judging by her reaction, I assume no follow-up from us will be needed.
The Lefebvres were infamous for using disguise and infiltration to achieve their goals. Who would have thought that they would have planted someone within the guards?
Judging from the timeline, they likely arranged for you to enter the guards before the fall of the clan. But they probably didn't expect you to turn it to your advantage and use your job to save yourself during the purge.
Not only that, but you actively participated in the interrogation, arrest, and judgment of the Lefebvres during their fall, thus clearing yourself of suspicion. You brutally and cruelly abandoned your allies as soon as they outlived their usefulness, just like a lizard cutting off its own tail in order to live. You've been doing this for years.
If she had kept her nose clean, but no, she had to get into the invitation synth.
So you played me like a fool after all?
What was that word you used? Ally? You think that someone as foolish as him is worthy to call himself my ally? They were worthless scum, all of them. Not just Bernard and Pierre, but those Lefebvres too. They always just saw me as a tool. I lost all my chances of a normal life just because I was born into their lot. Not only that, but because they wanted me to become an undercover agent, they stripped me of my name, too. I had to live in constant fear of them while they were alive. And even once they were gone, I had to continue to bury my heritage and my name. Always worrying that their enemies would come knocking at the door. Do you know anything about what I've been through over all these years? My life as the last Lefebvre?
I don't, and neither do I care.
Are you for real? Aren't you a Lefebvre victim too?
Elodie, you're the only one still living under the shadow of a name.
That's enough. Keep your hands where I can see them and do not resist arrest. If you have more to say, save it for the interrogation room.
What a joke. What a joke! Hey!
Uh-oh, she's got a bomb! It's like, sheesh.
Don't come any closer.
What's that?
Know what this is? I've secretly planted loads of explosives in the Humane Society. Just one step closer and... whether they're cats, dogs, or just unlucky human employees, they'll all be blown up into smithereens.
Yikes.
Surely you bunch of goody two-shoes won't let that happen, right?
Like, deception assists Linny in deceiving Ellie. Stealth, launch a sneak attack on Ellie while she's distracted. Persuasion, try to convince Ellie to surrender. Intimidation, help Sheriff to intimidate Ellie. Lynette's cooperation, stealth 6 + 6. Uh-oh, we failed.
Did you think I was blind? Gardamex, get him!
Not good. She's trying to escape. We need to end this fight as soon as possible.
7 to 5.
Over here!
huh? Good thing I've already bought enough time to escape. Ah!
Phew. So I was right after all. It's easier to deal with the person causing the problem than the problem itself.
Who keeps knocking out people? Gosh.
This is it. Looks like it's just a toy.
Guess that's probably why she suddenly flipped and knocked out Bernard. He probably knew that there were no explosives at the society.
Ah. She also pretended like she had a villainous breakdown, as if she had no choice but to kill to escape her life.
Well, given that she never even showed her face to Bernard and Pierre, I had my doubts that she'd have gone to the society in person to plant explosives.
Thank you for your help, everyone. I'll take them back for thorough questioning and find someone better to take over the Humane Society. I might need a few statements from everybody. Would you be able to come with me?
If statements are all you need, can Lynette provide them on my behalf? I still need to go back and explain some things to the crew. I also had an appointment with the Traveler before we got interrupted.
Oh, seems like I already forgot. You mean when you said I could stop by your place? What did she say again?
Ah, so you do remember. Yes, I invited you to come over to our place. Once I'm done talking with the troupe, I'll make a nice cup of tea and bring Bonnie to wait for you outside of my door.
That's intense.
You can leave the rest of this to me. The other guards will be joining me shortly. Don't worry, they won't have another chance to escape. The materials have many other regular uses outside of being used to make imitation synth, so they're not immediately subject to being confiscated or destroyed. The harbor would usually just seize them for some time while the customs paperwork is filled out and approved. If approved, they'd be let through, and if not, they'd be returned to sender. Elodie probably used her position to replace a portion of the shipment with something else before sending the whole shipment back to sender. Given that the foreign merchants who sent in the shipments were probably working with her in the first place, they likely just never reported the difference in what they sent and what they received. We will, of course, continue to investigate the rest of the details of this case. Now that we've caught Elodie, figuring out the whole scheme should just be a matter of time.
You must have spent a record-breaking amount of time in serious mode today. I can't remember the last time I've seen you like this. Is it because of a special someone?
There are still a few things I'm curious about. How did Pierre get recruited into the scheme?
Based on information that we found before, imitation synth was first circulated on a small scale in Fontaine before becoming a large-scale smuggling scheme. I'd assume that the first offerings of imitation synth came from what Pierre made in his early days. But since he was not experienced with running a clandestine operation, he was soon discovered by guard Elodie. Elodie saw the opportunity to make a great profit in his work, and perhaps even the chance of making a new life for herself, so she decided to cover his tracks. She started writing to him in Bernard's name, using what evidence she had compiled and the promise of enormous profits to blackmail him into cooperating with her. Unfortunately for her, she ran into Lynette. Even though my sister doesn't like to focus too much on a regular day, serious mode Lynette is one of the most perceptive people I've ever known.
Serious mode Lynette.
Still, all of that thinking really saps her energy. I need to go give some statements on her behalf, so I'll leave the recharging to you.
No problem. Let's go have tea. This one was very long. It's only one line of like 5.
Black tea and a cute kitty. Truly the best combo for standby mode. Want some?
A cup of tea, please. A cute kitty, please.
I hope you'll like it. Not at all. Information is indeed very important, but if you were to try to collect every piece of information you come across, your efficiency would actually decrease. Plus, if you just think about it, what sounds more fun? Writing a statement or enjoying a tea party?
A cute kitty.
Great answer. That'd be my pick too.
Kitty.
Had we not run into that case, we could have spent the entire day like this. But now, I'm running low on both time and energy.
The key isn't how long you spend in standby mode. With quality time, you should be able to recharge more quickly.
You're right. I can sense it. I'm recharging very quickly at the moment. Something about her rubbed me the wrong way since the very beginning. But to be more precise, it was probably around the time when I saw Bonnie try to get away from her. Elodie tried to get close, but Bonnie deliberately dodged her. Maybe Bonnie had tried to evade her before at Pierre's base. Or perhaps Bonnie just instinctively knew that she wasn't a good person. Not everyone who likes cats is a good person. But if cats like you, you're probably alright.
Fair enough.
Humans tend to overthink things, but cats rely on their instincts, and they're pretty sharp. I mean, just look at Bonnie. She took a liking to you the moment you met.
Oh, how cute. Adventurers, investigators, and cats. Your story has come to an end for now. That is so cute. I like this picture. Like there's another way you can go here. Yeah, the only weird thing I will say about the Hangout events is that the way they work is like alternate timelines. So like, okay, we did this one, and then, but then we'll go and do another one, and we'll never actually go into the case. Which means that it'll never get solved, and Bonnie will still be in danger, and so on and so forth. It's the same thing that happened, I think, during... I think Sayu's quest. Like, there's a guy with his daughter, and like his daughter's been kidnapped, and he's trying to get her back. And so if you don't follow the correct line, apparently the guy never gets his daughter back. There's actually two. There's one where you go and arrest the guy thinking he's suspicious, and then there's another one where you help him out and you find his daughter and you save them both. But if you do... But so if you don't do the him saving his daughter part, you never save the daughter. So... Alright. Oh, look at that! 6? That's helpful if you want to play a game with your friends. I like this. This is neat. Also very useful if you're trying to make a decision for yourself. Alright. Go. I didn't expect that one to go on for so long. I was gonna build Lynette a little bit today, but...
Ad Astra Abyssosk.
it took so long and now I'm really tired.
Thank you for completing today's commissions.
So I think I'll just kind of do some stuff and then wrap up.
Ad Astra Abyssosk.
I'll have to do some farming for her tomorrow. Oh, I was going to pull on the weapon banner though once. Just once. So we can do that at least. Because, like, I don't have Fischl's bow or this book. I don't think. So it might be good. So we'll do 110 pull and see what we get. Besides, at least the pity will carry over on the weapon banner, so. Oh, okay, it's just a flute. I have plenty of those. Okay. Well, it was a good try. Alright. At least now I have like 10 pity or whatever. Yeah, it's alright. I wasn't thinking I was gonna get anything spectacular anyway. Let me just... One of the nice things about making condensed resin is you can do it and then the game registers that, oh, you used the resin, even though you have these guys still in your pocket.
This realm is truly
I kind of feel like putting Lynette in my teapot though with the black and white cat, just to be like, oh, that's Lynette and Bonnie, because there's you know that she's going to adopt Bonnie.
If you ever have any questions... This realm is true. If you ever have any questions...
Let's see, I think that's about it for today. Got my... Yeah. Did those dailies. Set that up. Okay. And the only thing I haven't done is... I haven't done the test run, but I can do that tomorrow. All right. Oh, I think that we'll be calling it for now. Tomorrow I will be streaming again at 8 p.m. for Honkai Star Rail. We'll just be doing some stuff, raising up Archeron and so on, and maybe doing some quests and things. So thank you so much for everybody who came, and if you want to rewatch this, you can see it on my YouTube page that I will be uploading it to. You can also follow my Twitter and Discord. I put updates of when I'm going to go streaming, or I'm going to go live and things, so check that out. You can find the links on my main Twitter page. So thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye! Thanks so much for coming.